This is one of the most deadliest family massacres that happened in the history of Utah. No one could ever imagine how a man would plan and carry out the murder of his own family. There are stories that settle over a community like fog, thick, disorienting, and cold in a way that takes years to shake off. In Enoch, Utah, a quiet city tucked beneath the shadow of Red Rock Mountains, the events of January 4th, 2023 became such a story. A tragedy that did not just happen, but seemed to echo through church halls, school classrooms, and every household that once believed violence was something that happened elsewhere. This is the long, unsettling story of Michael Haight, a man who appeared to the world as a devoted father, a successful insurance agent, and a respected church member, yet who harbored storms that his own family would pay the ultimate price. To neighbors, the Haight home looked like a portrait of stability. Michael and Tausha Haight were raising 5 children, 3 daughters and 2 sons, each one involved in school, church activities, and community sports. Tausha's mother, Gail Earl, often visited, offering help with lessons, meals, in the busy rhythm of a home with kids spanning from infants to teens. But behind closed doors, the seams were splitting. People who later studied the tragedy struggled to pinpoint the moment when things began to unravel. Some say the marriage had been strained for years. Others believe the real turbulence began when Tausha quietly visited a lawyer in December 2022, seeking a divorce after nearly 2 decades of marriage. She spoke softly during the consultation, as though afraid the walls themselves might tell Michael. It was not a request born from sudden impulse. Tausha had expressed growing discomfort with Michael's controlling behavior. He monitored her movements, questioned her spending, and criticized her parenting. In private, she confided to close relatives that she felt isolated, emotionally diminished, and unsafe. The lawyer advised her to move forward, but also warned her, the weeks around divorce filings are often the most dangerous. Tausha nodded. She had heard stories, but she did not believe her husband capable of violence. Not yet. When Michael discovered the divorce filing, witnesses described his reaction as shattering. The man who presented a calm, meticulously composed exterior suddenly appeared unmoored. Friends from church said he was emotionally devastated, yet also strangely defensive, almost offended that anyone would question his stability. In late December, his longtime insurance agency fired him. His behavior had turned unpredictable. His boss noted a shift, a darkening. He seemed desperate to maintain some sense of control in a life slipping through his fingers. Tausha's family urged her to distance herself, to let them help, to find safety. But with 5 children, a mission-driven church community, and a desire not to escalate conflict, she remained in the home while trying to navigate the divorce quietly. It was during this period that Michael removed guns from the house, guns that had been owned legally for years. He claimed it was for safety, that he didn't want them around the kids. But to investigators who reconstructed the timeline later, the move felt calculated. The weapons in the home were not removed to prevent violence, they were removed to prevent defense. As Christmas decorations faded and the cold of January deepened, tension inside the Haight household rose in ways imperceptible to outsiders. The children still went to school. Their grandmother Gail came and went. From the outside, everything looked normal. On January 3rd, Tausha dropped off her daughter at a church youth activity. Her voice was steady. She made plans to attend a family event later that week. There was no hint, none, that within hours darkness would consume their home. But that night, something in Michael hardened. His family was moving beyond his control. The divorce was proceeding. The life he had curated, the image he relied on, was slipping away. And instead of letting go, he made a disastrous decision. Investigators later pieced together that Michael stayed awake longer than usual, pacing through the halls of the house, entering and leaving rooms in a silent patrol. He moved with a focus that suggested planning, not panic. The children were asleep. Tausha believed it was another uneasy night in a crumbling marriage. It was much more than that. Morning arrived, but inside the Haight home, no one stirred. By 9 a.m., teachers and school administrators noticed the children were absent. It was unusual. Every Haight child was known for perfect attendance. Their grandmother Gail was also missing from a scheduled appointment. Messages went unanswered. By early afternoon, the Enoch police performed a welfare check at the request of concerned family members. Officers approached the house cautiously. The curtains were drawn. There was no movement inside. The silence was not peaceful. When officers entered, they discovered a scene so devastating that even seasoned investigators stepped back in horror. 8 people were found dead inside the house. Haight, her 5 children, Macy, 17, Briley, 12, Sienna, 7, Ammon, 7, and Gavin, 4, and Tausha's mother, Gail Earl. Each life taken deliberately. The killer, Michael Haight, was also dead, his body positioned in a way suggesting a carefully staged suicide. He had annihilated his family in the early hours of the morning before turning the weapon on himself. The city of Enoch never felt the same after that tragedy. News of the murders spread rapidly, turning the normally quiet Utah community into the center of national shock. Police held conferences with trembling voices. Neighbors cried openly in the streets. Church leaders struggled to find words. Teachers placed flowers on the desks of empty seats. The public wanted answers. Why had no one seen the signs? How could a man hide so much darkness beneath a polished smile? What could have stopped him? In the weeks that followed, a portrait emerged, not of sudden madness, but of escalating control, emotional dominance, and a desperate fear of losing authority. Friends admitted Michael had always been particular, sometimes intense, but they never imagined violence. Tausha's attorney quietly revealed she had expressed fear, but not enough to spark urgent intervention. The community realized they had underestimated the danger. Michael's extended family released statements of shock and sorrow, struggling with their own grief and disbelief. Tausha's relatives, especially her sister and surviving family members, became outspoken advocates for domestic violence awareness. They insisted that emotional abuse was still abuse, still lethal. Instead of focusing on the killer, they spoke of the victims. Tausha, who loved fiercely, taught her children kindness and tried to leave a painful marriage with dignity. Gail, the grandmother who constantly supported her family, always present, always loving. The 5 children, Macy, the thoughtful, studious teenager, Briley, the spirited preteen, Sienna and Ammon, the 7-year-old twins, full of curiosity, and little Gavin, whose laughter filled the home. Domestic violence experts who studied the case later revealed a chilling pattern known all too well: coercive control escalating into family annihilation, a rare but not unheard of phenomenon. The killer is usually the spouse who feels their authority slipping, who perceives their family's independence as betrayal, and who would rather destroy the people they own than face a life without dominance. Michael fit the pattern precisely. Behind the facade of a disciplined, church-going father, there were signs of intimidation. Tausha had described his temper as unpredictable. He monitored finances. He isolated her emotionally. Family members had witnessed arguments, but never imagined the depths beneath them. The tragedy forced the community to confront uncomfortable truths. Being outwardly respectable and religious does not guarantee emotional health. Divorce filings can escalate danger, and sometimes the people who seem the most in control are the ones with the most to hide. In the months after the murders, Enoch tried to heal. Churches held vigils. Schools offered counseling. Thousands attended the funeral, filling the chapel and overflowing into nearby buildings. The caskets, small and large, were carried out together, a sight no one in attendance would ever forget. The Haight home was eventually emptied, its windows boarded. The laughter that once echoed through its rooms had been replaced by silence. But slowly, the community transformed its grief into purpose. Donations poured in to support domestic violence organizations. The city launched educational programs about warning signs. Tausha's surviving relatives worked tirelessly to ensure the story was not just remembered, but understood. Their message was simple but profound. Violence often begins long before the first blow. Control is a warning. Isolation is a warning. Fear is a warning. Though the tragedy was one of the darkest moments in Utah's history, the lives of the victims ignited movements, conversations, and reforms. Their memories forced people to examine assumptions about safety, family roles, and the hidden nature of emotional abuse. The story did not end on January 4th, 2023. It continues through every advocate who speaks for silent victims, through every neighbor who checks in when something feels wrong, through every family that learns to recognize early signs of control. Tausha and her children became symbols, not of horror, but of the need for vigilance and empathy in a world where appearances can deceive. And though the Haight home stands empty, the community that mourned refuses to forget their story, as painful as it is. It serves as a reminder of what must never be allowed to happen again. That is how Michael ended his entire generation. Thank you for watching this far, and please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and comment your thoughts about this story.